You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
Presented by CMH Heli Skiing and Peak Performance.
The Low Pressure Podcast is sponsored by CMH Heli Skiing, where you can choose from 11 unique locations and experiences, including 4, 5, 6, and 7-day signature trips, the brand new single-day trips. You can do small groups with just you, 4 friends, and a guide, or the private and exclusive, where you get the whole place just to yourself. So find your next adventure at cmhheli.com. The Low Pressure Podcast is also sponsored by Peak Performance. There are many ways to make it down a mountain, but the best line is your line. And the adventure is there, so make it yours. Visit peakperformance.com and get the gear to unlock your freeride spirit.
All right, here we go. On. Lily Bradley. Hey, bud. Nice to see you.
Hello, nice to see you.
You're like, that was weird. We've been chatting and hanging out.
Yeah, I've been here.
And hanging out for like the last 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden it's like, gooks, flip switched.
Let's go. Professional mode.
Yeah, professional. Welcome back to the Low Pressure Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
The podcast for skiers. Blah, 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 blah. Find it on your favorite podcast app or YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Yeah, find, follow, like, and subscribe. So we are here in the Wandering Fern Cafe in downtown Golden, BC. It's kind of my new unofficial podcast studio here in Golden, the champagne powder capital of Canada. I think I got all of the taglines I needed to get in.
Nice.
Yeah. Welcome back. You're a big fan of Golden, I know, because you're a winner.
Yeah. Well, also they have a really good taco place here.
Reposado's down the street.
Yeah.
I agree.
And they have a great snow parade with crazy homemade paper mache.
Oh, really?
Funky dudes. Crazy lights. So huge fan of Golden. Right
on. Well, welcome back. We're here for FWT, obviously. Which, like I said, you won that event a couple of years ago on the face that we're going to be at again today, which is kind of exciting. But we're not here to talk about Freeride World Tour.
Yeah.
We absolutely...
We're not?
We can.
No. we can, let's not. Let's talk about anything.
Okay. Let's just stare out the window. People watch.
That'd be super weird.
No, but I love having you here because you're such an interesting human being. But in a good way, like you do things very different from the norm, and it makes people be like, wait, what? What's she doing? What's happening? And I like that about you. And I want to learn from you. I want to talk to you. So why don't we start from the start? Are you officially half Canadian, half American?
No, my mom was raised in Canada, but she was brought there as a baby and never got her Canadian citizenship.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. She got shafted a little bit, but it's okay. They did she has great parents. They did their absolute best. So she's culturally Canadian. And then most of her family lives in Canada. Yep. So we spent a lot of time up in like Vancouver and Squamish.
I know exactly where, because your mom grew up in my neighborhood.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot.
Remember? She
lived you guys are like neighbors.
Yeah, like 2 streets over or something like that.
Yeah, so, the Coquitlam Cougars?
The Coquitlam Cougars? I don't know if it's the Cougars. They have the Coquitlam Express, I think, is a hockey team up the street.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone else lived in Coquitlam.
Yeah, nobody does. It's deep in the burbs of Vancouver. It's like, I saw some funny meme map one day and they called it suburban Siberia or something like that, because it's like 45-minute drive from downtown and it's just suburbs, straight up suburbs, house, yard, dog, 2.5 kids, that kind of thing.
Never been, don't know.
No. Sorry, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tahoe City, on Lake Tahoe, on the West Shore, in California, United States.
Oh, that Tahoe?
Yeah. So I grew up, Tahoe City.
Skiing where, like Palisades?
Yeah, skiing mostly Palisades. Also respect Alpine, love Alpine. I did like ski team, OV free, Olympic Valley freestyle team. Did big mountain team, and I grew up like there's a really good the kids competition circuit there is really awesome. So I did that since I was 12.
Like freeride?
Yeah, like freeride comps from a young age. Yeah, so super cool. Like mountain culture there, very small time vibes.
Did I hear they want to put a gondola in between Alpine and Palisades?
Oh, they actually already did it.
Oh, you didn't like it? Tell me about this. How does that make you feel? You're on the couch. How does that make you feel?
I think they put $41 billion of improvements into their resorts, and that money could have gone towards like employee housing that they desperately need because there's no housing available.
Right.
And instead, they kind of just marred the land with a giant piece of crappy machinery that doesn't even work that well and scarred the beautiful face, put up a bunch of pavement. So, no, the locals aren't super stoked on it, but also on the same side, it might reduce emissions and it might reduce like sediment erosion into the lake with less cars going in between.
Right.
So hopefully that'll be the outcome.
Yeah, so I know that's kind of the problem everywhere, though, right?
Yeah.
Is like there's not enough housing anywhere, but let's go build something that we don't really need.
Yeah.
I like how you brought that up because you're a very opinionated person and you have very specific opinions on very many things, which is I like that though. Like it makes you an interesting, fascinating human. But let's start right at the start. So you were just in a movie called People Like Us, where it kind of touches on themes of, queer skiers and snowboarders living in mountain towns. Is that kind of a good way to sum it up?
Totally.
Or
That's a great summary.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect synopsis.
Yeah, so
they should put that on the poster.
Done. Yeah, awesome. Hit me up. So done by Ryan Collins, guy who lives in Revelstoke.
Yeah.
And you yourself identify as a queer person, if I'm not mistaken. So like I said, I told you.
Yeah, I've got blue hair. You're definitely not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay, so as I told you before, like I want to learn a lot from you in this episode because there's been points in time where I remember even in the past I said something once where I called you and you're like, hey man, you can't say that, and I was like, what the fuck you mean? I can say that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't remember what it was.
Oh, I don't remember either.
I don't remember what it was, and I looked around at a couple other people. I'm like, was that wrong? They're like, I don't think so. Like, even to the point of like, do we have to be careful about this? But like, I appreciate you because you have very strong beliefs and like you care about what you believe in. And that's why I want to have you on because I want to understand it more, understand someone like yourself more who identifies the way that you do. So like, what does like being queer mean to you?
It's a great question. And I also really respect like people who are willing to like learn.
Yeah.
Because that's all you can do is ask questions,
right.
And you're never going to know everything. And you just have to accept that all you can do is learn, you know?
And I also appreciate about you is that you'll fuck with people a little bit too.
I do love to fuck with people.
Right,
that is correct.
Right. Because if they're your buddies or something and they're like, you see somebody struggling, I have an example. If they see them struggling, you'll like kind of play around with a little bit or you'll laugh. You'll think it's hilarious because you're like, all right, you're trying. Cool. This is funny.
Yeah. Like with Derek trying to switch my pronouns and he was doing so good.
Okay. So before we get to like what does queer mean to you, then we got
Okay, we can go back, I guess.
So I do the Freeride guide with Derek, right? Where we talk about the tour. And he told me that right before the Verbier comp, you go up to him and Anna and was like, hey, just to let you know, I've changed my pronouns. It's they, them. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Thanks for telling us. Okay, good to know. And then I totally forgot, but I was going to watch your run. But he's like, oh man, we totally blew it. We were like kind of quiet during her run because we didn't know what to say or like what to call her or like... like we blew it, like we absolutely blew it. And he said we went and told you after and you were like, oh, that's hilarious, and then you just laughed.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And also I really respect Derek for like just trying his absolute best because it is like a huge adjustment,
right?
And I did tell them day of
like right before they're about to go to live broadcast,
literally right before, just because I don't know, it's always like nerve-wracking for some reason. I always feel like I'm like coming out to my parents again when I'm like correcting people or telling people because it's just like this like big well of like anxiety all the time. But he did his absolute best. I'm really proud of him, and I really appreciate just like willingness to like even try.
Yeah,
because it does take a long time to adjust to like new pronouns or whatever. Like even with my friends who are transitioning, like you know, you just like you say the wrong pronouns sometimes because you've known them one way for a long time, and it just takes like practice and learning. You know,
right. And see, I think that's like from someone like my point of view, like cis white male, like the problem, the source of all the problems in the world,
but also the source of a lot of solutions.
See, there you go. Open-minded.
If you're learning.
I dig it. But like for someone like us, it's like, what do I do? Which it could probably be kind of funny for you to be like, oh, he's trying so hard.
Yeah, look at him go. He's doing so good.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, I'm the same as like, I don't really fully understand it. Like I'm a little older too. Like I consider myself quite a liberal person in the last several years. I'm like, I can understand why people are a little bit more conservative. I'm never going to go fully over there, but I can understand some more conservative levels to my liberal views. Do you know what I mean? So like not going way over here anymore. I'm just going to bring it back a little bit just to, when you get a little older, you things make a little bit more sense in different ways. So like for, someone like yourself, they, them, that would be hard for me too, to try and remember that, be like, and then I appreciate that you're not going to be like, it's not she, it's they. Like that would, I think that kind of, and I'm just saying examples from what I've seen, right? I can say someone is like, I'm telling you what my pronouns are. They're they, them now, right? And you're telling someone like me and say I get it wrong. And then you give me a hard time, like, hey, that's not who I am, right? And you don't do this, but I've seen it either displayed on TV or heard it in other ways. It's like, hey, give me a minute, right? Like I'm not doing it in a malicious way. So like give me a break. Because it's almost that anxiety in reverse. Like I don't want to get it wrong, but I also don't want you to yell at me. Yeah. So if you're yelling at me, I'm like, well, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, totally. Why are you changing it? You know what I mean? So I think that's where I think animosity can kind of be built. But I think the way you go about it with humor kind of cancels a lot of that out or eliminates the possibility of that. Yeah. I don't know. I think humor is a good way to just ease any kind of tension in scenarios. But also, like on that same side, I don't deal with like the constant alienation and pain and like deep despair of being a non-cis person and a queer person with anger, because that doesn't work for me. But I also have empathy and understanding for queer people who do have that source of anger, because if you're a marginalized person, or if you're just like, I don't know, if you're a queer person, you have to keep your chill all the fucking time, and you have to be the most rational and like emotionally centered in an argument, because that's the only way that you can make your point. And that can be really exhausting. So I have complete understanding for people who do get angry, being misgendered, because that's a source of a lot of pain. And there's violence, and there's like, there's a lot of people have a history of horrible violence being a queer person. So I can understand, that's the way that I go about it. But I also like, I have a lot of like, sometimes I blow up, because it just happens. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of emotions and history. Yeah, and like fair enough, right? Like you guys have gone through, like I don't know what you're going through as a person, or what these people are going through as a person, when you're like feeling like you're not yourself, or you're trapped in a body that isn't yours, and you don't know how to tell anybody, and it's not accepted by anybody. Like, and it just builds and builds and builds within you, and you're like, where's my outlet, right? And every once in a while, when you finally get that, it's almost like when you let a little bit of steam out. And then a little bit more comes into the possibility for the whole thing to boil over, right? So maybe when you get to, I think maybe when those people get to that point and you're like, okay, I'm comfortable enough with telling people, there's that huge weight off. And then now the ball is rolling, and you can, it's like this big well, this backup of emotions, and now it's been opened, the dam's been opened, and maybe it flows out faster. Yeah, totally. Like, okay, I've started it, but now I'm impatient because I want to get it to the finish line, whether they know what the finish line is or not, right? So that's really neat being able to have this conversation, and you're the right person for me to do this with. Aw, dude. Yeah, right, bro. Just because I don't know, I'm that guy that I don't know what to say or who or how, or it's like, a lot of people walk on eggshells, right? And because there are so many different variations of how people identify, and now in this last 3 or 4 years, they have an opportunity, and it's accepted a little bit more in the mainstream, to be able to be present themselves as such. But there are so many different colors of that rainbow that we don't know even where to start from someone like us, right? So that's where I get confused too. It's like, I could be like, hey, what up, dude? Or what up, bro? Or like, and you'd be like, you can't say that. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's almost like you need to like pull out, in football, like they've got like all the plays, like one of the guys has all the plays on his arm because there's so many, he just has to read it out. So it's almost like we need like some sort of a queer handbook or like a cheat sheet.
Yeah, well, lucky for you, that exists, and it's actually called the internet. And so something that's really cool is that I feel like
Sorry. Hey, what's that? Hold on a second.
yeah. Okay, chill. I got history of trans rights. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it is. I think it is important, like I don't know, as a queer person, you have to do a lot of education and you have to do a lot of like learning for other people. And sometimes it is frustrating because that's not your fucking job. And so like I will always answer questions and I'm a very open person. But also I think, you know, if you're a straight person, if you're a cis person, if you're a white person, I'm a white person, you just have to do you have to do a lot of self-learning. You know, it is your responsibility if you do not understand a group or if you like, you know, if you have questions or if you feel like you're walking on eggshells, to do your own research. You know what I mean? So like I love answering questions and I'm super open to that all the time. But I think it's a good reminder like that people should know that, you know, like it is your responsibility to educate yourself, you know? You can't,
About other people's identities or are you speaking like you need to know yourself so that you can educate other people?
No, about other, you know, other groups and other people, you know, like the internet is a resource. It's always out there. And if you like, there's a lot of stuff that's Googleable, but also you can just come to me. I can just be your Google.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a text every in a couple of months. Be like, Lily, I'm talking to this person. I'll do like one of these, like take a photo.
You're like, what is an NB? And I'll be like, gotcha, bro.
What is an NB?
Oh, it's like just like we're slang for like non-binary. NB is like the short abbreviation, and then you can spell it out ENBY. NB. It's just like
Very nice. All right. So like we're deep into this, you know, and it's interesting to me because so like I said, the film itself was about people like us or people like you who are explaining, I guess, it's a very simple, I guess, introduction to, you know, people within the outdoor world that may not be able to dive as deep as we're going to get into a conversation. But it's like, hey, we're here. This is our experience. And it's kind of an introduction, I think, from a bunch of different people, which is good because then they can go and listen to a podcast or they can go open up the internet and look at it. But like I said, what does being queer mean to you?
To me, being queer, I'll start with like how I identify. I feel like that's an easy place to start. But like, I identify as like non-binary, technically like genderqueer, but I just say non-binary because that feels like more accessible language and more mainstream. And I'm like non-binary, queer as in, I don't believe in the label of bisexuality because I think it limits the gender selection to the binary, which I don't think makes any sense. So I just say queer because I think I think a lot of young people do. Right. So meaning like whatever, you know, attracted to lots of different people and to gender diversity. I find gender diversity very attractive in partners. So that's like my identity. And then what does queer being mean to me? It means like rage. And it means like the beauty of self-expression and community. And how much joy and like ease that you can find when you're in community with people who have, you know, any kind of queer identity of just this like shared experience. So I think queerness is a very isolating experience because you constantly have to hold your tongue and you constantly feel at ends with the world and sometimes, you know, in danger of violence or like just, I don't know, you're in a different bubble from a lot of people. You have a very different life experience and worldview often. So queerness can mean isolation, but it also means like absolute freedom within the queer community. So
it's a pretty broad term, and and you covered a lot in there, and I will get to some of that, but I almost want to dumb it down to like the word itself coming from someone like me.
Yeah, dude, let's go to basics here. Let's do it.
Super basics. Like when I grew up, queer was just weird. It just meant weird.
Yeah.
Right? It just meant weird.
Yeah.
And then queer to me was like, oh, that guy's gay. Or she's gay.
Yeah.
Right. And now it means so much more to the point where I'm like, I don't even know if it means gay anymore. Do you know what I mean? Are they attracted to their same identified gender? And it just means that they do things a little differently. Like maybe they want to look different, but they still have the same kind of sexuality to the norms. Like there's just, in my mind, it seems like it's just such a broad term though, that I wanted to know like, is there a specific term to it, or is it like, all right, LGBTQ and queer, is it is it a synonym now? And then within, like, below all of them, are there all of these different categories that you then have to dive into and then pull out the internet when no one's looking and get the information for?
I think queer means a different thing to anyone, honestly. I think it can just be like a term that you use to just...
I was really hoping it was so specific.
Unfortunately, it's not super specific.
Because like I said, cis white male, and for myself learning all this stuff, like simplicity is very helpful for us, right? Like we are, like, you say non-binary. Well, we are binary, right? A lot of things that we understand are one or the other. So that helps us understand. So it's like a robot trying to read a different language, and it's kind of, that's what it is, right? So there's this other language being created that we haven't learned how to read yet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny to say that, because like we are, our society, we live in a colonial society that has been created by colonialism, and by capitalism and by white supremacy. And so white supremacy, colonialism, and the gender binary are very connected things. And there's like a very deep history of gender diversity being erased, of indigenous gender diversity.
Two-spirit folks, yeah.
Yeah. And also, like the creation of the gender binary is also connected to capitalism, because you have to uphold the patriarchy with a gender division of labor. You have to uphold the patriarchy by easily defining gender roles. And then also, gender was used as a way to distinguish, the civility of white people from, quote unquote, like barbarous races, from people of color, by like, how rigidly you fit into a gendered norm of female, like hairless female, and like, I don't know, just like colonialism and racism and gender are very connected.
Because they all got developed at the same time by the same group.
Yeah, they all support each other, and these systems are used to, support the power structure that exists in our world and is the way that we are socialized and we interpret information. And so the language maybe is kind of new to a lot of people, but, it has existed. It has just been,
hasn't been given any visibility until now.
It hasn't been given a lot of visibility. Exactly. I don't even remember what your question is about, to be honest, but
it's just being able to have, like I said, like we see things as binary because that's how we've learned.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like Leslie just explained all those history up until now. That's the way things have been. Well, now we're allowing, and I'll say it like that. That system is now allowing for this other component to start having some space, having some time, having some breathing room. And I think I have to say it like that because it is being allowed. It's like you're fighting for it, you've been going through it, but because of that system, it still is like it's being allowed to happen now. And I think that's a key word, because it's not like we gave up or whatever, because it's a power system, and it always has been a power system, which is what you're fighting against, and has created all these oppressive structures. So, and I'm not saying that in like a way like we're allowing this for you to happen. I don't see myself as part of that, but it is almost like it is being allowed to finally have that breathing room, and then you're going to be able now with that bit of, I think, momentum. It's going to be able to push back and then find some kind of equilibrium or find its place. I think. I don't know. Do you disagree? Agree? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the word allowed has like a passive undertone, but I think you recognize that you're not saying that as a passive.
Yeah,
that it's
like
happening.
I'm not saying it as I'm saying it with intention, but not as exactly.
Yeah,
right?
Understood. You're never going to eliminate white supremacy and the gender binary, and hopefully, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to eliminate capitalism. Hopefully, I hope the socialist revolution will one day come and we can take up arms against.
That's not
state.
for this podcast. That's not for this one.
Yes, it is.
That's for another one.
You had me on. This was your choice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
but,
true.
I don't know. Yeah, I think there are queer people fighting for pockets in the world, and there's people of color and BIPOC communities. Like, I don't know, like getting more and more power and being able to like fight for the spaces and getting more recognition and just
more
getting
respect.
capital to be able to create their programs. And so, things are changing slowly. It's cool.
I like it. So you're leading the charge, or one of the people.
I'm not trying to. I'm just existing, but it happens to not fit.
You're not afraid. you're not afraid to talk about it. You're not afraid to put yourself out there, and potentially get the negativity back. You know what I mean? Right? Like you're out there, you're pretty courageous about it.
Thanks, man. I'm actually trying to be a little bit less courageous every once in a while, because I recently had this like experience, and I don't know, I've been like threatened a few times, and I've been like called slurs, and just like shit happens. But there's this like, it's never happened to me like in the ski world, it's only ever happened in like cities, and you're walking home at night and someone calls you a slur and you're like, I should walk faster. I wonder if that guy has a knife. But yeah, there's like, I had this experience recently where I was like on a chairlift with this guy I'd just met. And I said something about, I was talking about like my neighbor, and I was like, oh, they had like a All Lives Matter pride flag, like big Elaine, and then like the guy next to me was like, oh, do you hate cops or F slur? And I was like, oh, well, I hate cops, but I love like F slurs. And then he just went on this like crazy rant about like all of the F slurs that he used to beat up and chain defenses. And it was just like it was the first time in the ski space that I've felt like, oh, this guy is dangerous and we are not safe in this environment. Like, just
I need to get off this chairlift now.
Yeah. And then, it was
in that captive position.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I forgot the most important part was that he was like, what if I were to beat the shit out of you right now? Would you call the cops? And I was like, whoo, we should go.
Oh, and you're on the chairlift?
Yeah, we're like on the chairlift. It was, yeah.
So let me ask you this question, right? So you're in this captive environment. You can't go anywhere. This guy is really aggressive and scary. And so are you just like, do you lean into kind of his point of view? Like, because you can either be quiet and go down, or you can be like, yeah, fuck those F slurs. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I take my go-to tactic is, I don't know. I have this like thing in my head that I don't want them to see me as some like leftist, like liberal pussy snowflake. I don't want people to say, like, think that their words hurt me, even if they like do genuinely instill fear and bring up emotions of a lot of shitty experiences. So I feel like what I did was, what I usually do is I'll just like jokingly try to make fun of them and make them feel like an idiot. So I was like asking him his opinions on pegging and like that kind of stuff. And he was not appreciating it. But then in hindsight, I always look back on those experiences and I'm like, damn, I kind of wish that I had just like I really wish that I'd kind of like fought back and just like made him feel like absolute shit about himself. But it's tough.
I think it's hard because if someone does that and you push back, it's going to be that battle. But I like the route that you went, because it causes them to think differently. Like, oh, I didn't expect that. Like left jab, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of hit them from sideways. But yeah, that's got to be like brutally scary.
I have fought back before. And I've got like, I was like punched in the face by this guy one time, this like big guy, and it like definitely, I don't pick fights with men who are bigger than me anymore. I learned a valuable lesson that day.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, it's a tough experience to like you want to make the world a better place and you want to educate people, but also that's not my fucking job. That puts me in danger. And I just have I end up having the same conversations with people on chairlifts like all the time of like not saying tranny when referring to a transition and blah, 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 blah. I don't know, like it just, it's exhausting. It's very tiring.
Even, I guess that, but there's also, do you find that there's also, do you just get like, there's maybe you go too far?
That I go too far?
Like there's like, so like say like I'm gonna hit the, I'm gonna go like good, oh that was sweet, hit that air and you found that tranny perfectly. Do you know what I mean? And you like you just said you don't have to correct people, but like say like the word cock, right? It means a couple different. I'm talking about a rooster right now, so I don't have to bleep it out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there's those like double things. So do you think maybe that you can take it too far and just like sometimes some things you may just need to leave alone because it'd be easier?
I think it would be easier, but there's, I don't know, the thing about the word tranny is, it is an abbreviation for the word transition, as in hitting a transition on a slope. It was not intentional to make it sound like a slur. That was not the intention. Nobody's saying that. However, if you're a queer person, if you're a trans person, and you are walking around and you're living your life and you are just skiing on the hill and you hear this really shitty word that has been connected to the most violent, fucked up parts of your life of like just the most imagine hearing a word that is connected to the shittiest things that have ever happened to you, and to you being like kicked out by your parents, or fucking beat up on the street. Just the worst experiences of your human existence. And then you just having to roll over and listening to that fucking word all the time. That would suck.
That's true. Right? Even though it has zero meaning or zero connotation to what happened. But like you said, it's like some PTSD stuff. It's like, that word is bad for me. You know what I mean?
It's just a shitty word. It wasn't intentional to it's just a shortened word of transition.
That's an interesting point. It's just basically, hey, this is my experience. This is what this does to affect me.
Yeah.
I know you're not saying it in that way, or have any intent that way, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't imagine if there was like a word that was shortened into the N word, a skiing term, like people wouldn't be super chill with that.
No, not at all.
No.
I don't even want to think what that could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point. So let me ask you this. So I was watching the film last night, and you were talking about, I guess, some of the reasons why you kind of leaned maybe into more of a masculine side versus your feminine side, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And a quote that you brought up was, the bro jock preposterously full of yourself culture, in referring to like Tahoe area. Mm-hmm. So we talk about different vibes in different ski areas and ski towns and stuff, right? And the Tahoe vibe, I wouldn't personally explain it the way you did, but it does kind of fit, because it's like, the Shane McConkey started that era. It's like, hey, let's have a good time. Let's go out. Let's like really go for it. Like, I can't believe you're a skier. I'm so much better than you. Like all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Whereas I can see it, but like, can you talk a little bit about that? Because watching the film, you basically said like, being a female is like a sign of weakness, and I want to be more like a male, or more manly, or lean into that side of myself, so I can be seen as less weak or something like that. Is that that's a pretty rough paraphrase, but
yeah, I was talking about kind of just like the internalized misogyny that you grew up with, being if you grew up socialized as a woman in sports. And I don't identify as a woman anymore, but obviously you're socialized that way your whole life, and I still experience the same things that women's experience. And yeah, just like I just felt like I found this way to make myself feel separated from the person who was being shit on all the time by like associating myself with masculinity. And so that was more of like my just like childhood
so like
internalized misogyny.
To dumb it down, it's like, I want to go and ski with these guys because you're a fantastic skier.
Thanks, man.
Right? You're an event winner on the Freeride World Tour. Like, you're one of the best skiers in the world. I can honestly say that. With 6 billion, 8 billion people, you're one of the better skiers in the world. Anyways, you're on a world tour for skiing. You've won an event, right? So I'm assuming, like, as you were growing up, you were a probably pretty good skier, and the good skiers want to ski with all the other best skiers. And usually at those ages, like, just from a very base male female example, males are a bigger, stronger gender.
Well, yeah. Really quickly, the socialization of women's sports is really important, I think, to the development of women not being as good as men. So men aren't better at skiing because they're bigger and stronger. They're often better at skiing because women are socialized from the second that they're born to use their bodies differently, compare themselves to other people, experience more shame. And so they develop less in source. But let's go back to what you're saying.
No, but I was going to let you get to that. So you can, but like, okay. And then, so this is where I think a lot of that I guess conflict comes in, right? Mm-hmm. If you just look at, a full-grown male and a full-grown female, just side by side.
Yeah.
Right? Weight, size, strength, just from a completely scientific point of view, right? Mm-hmm. The odds are there will be more males that will be able to do bigger things or things that their strength and size would allow them to do more so than a female. Is that a fair statement? I know you
not with skiing.
I know you're
hating. Look at Kai Jones.
Okay, fair enough. So not with skiing. That's fair enough. But like
with a lot of sports, yes.
Yes, a lot of sports, yes. And then so there's a little bit of that, right? And then there's a little bit of what you interjected, right? It's all combined. But yeah, so then you got the boys, they're shredding around. You're just as good as them. You want to go ski with them because you're probably better than most of the girls on the mountain. and you're like, I don't want to ski with them because I want to ski with the best people on the hill. So I want to ski with these guys. And then they're like, wow, you're a chick. And they start giving you that negativity. And that's that kind of your experience, which kind of led you to be like, well, I don't want to be seen as a weak chick.
Yeah, it was just wanting to, fit in with the guys and feel like I wasn't one of the shitty girls, even though
Not one of the token girls that they let come ski with them for the
I
day.
don't even know how to put it. It's just it just feels shitty to always be, you're never going to be quite as good as the guys, you know, when you're like growing up and like, you know that, and you don't want to feel like you're always going to be like a shit skier. So you want to I put other women down when I was a kid, and I definitely like leaned into misogyny, and I leaned into like sexualizing women with my friends as a teenager, and like just like, you know, just being a like kind of masculine shithead, because it makes you fit in and it makes you feel like you're stronger and like you're not one of the weak ones. And then getting older, like I just realized how much internal self-hate that had created for me, and how much it had limited me as an athlete. Because if you're constantly comparing yourself to men, like you're just never going to be able to celebrate your accomplishments. Like, you know, you go and you do a 360 off a cliff and you're like, oh my God, that was so fucking sick. I've never done a cliff that big and done a 3. And then your friend goes and does a backflip and you're like, well, I feel like shit. This is the worst. So like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. So it's made it so that I now am more likely to ski with women than I am to ski with men, because it creates a more like positive growth kind of atmosphere, and you don't have to like be self-deprecating. But yeah, just trying to let go of like comparison has helped me get rid of some of the internalized misogyny and that kind of stuff.
Right, and stuff that you've had to deal with. And do you feel that, and I know it's such a loaded question, but do you feel like you've ended up in this place where you are now, where you don't identify as a woman anymore because of those years where you didn't want to be like them or like that, where you basically pushed away because of those experiences? Like, do you think if there was a more accepting culture, you would still be identifying as a woman? Do you think you would have, like, because it's almost like, you know, you're fighting against this inequality, and you're fighting against these systems and this and everything that you've brought up, but you've almost moved over to that side. Do you know, I'm struggling to explain this, but do you see where I'm coming from? It's like, you were involved in this, right? Skiing with these guys, and that's what really pissed you off, but you didn't lean the other way and embrace your femininity. You kind of leaned into them, right? And kind of moved away from it, but still are like, well, it sucks that I ended up here, or it sucks that it works, but I've just ended up being almost over on this side.
That's a really great question. The answer is no. I don't think that my gender identity is an inherent thing. And I don't think it was created by me wanting to fit in with men, because identity isn't,
or conditioned because like you're shit talking them and whatever, and like you've internalized that, you know, women are the weaker sex and I don't want to be that, so now I'm going to identify as like one of these guys, even though it's shitty what you're doing. I've kind of always had like a very innate masculine identity, and I didn't have the words for that, you know, when you're like a kid, because non-binary doesn't exist, and it's not really like, I don't know, it's just something that you figure out. You're like, oh my gosh, those emotions that I've been feeling, that's gender dysphoria. When I look at a picture of myself and I can see that I have feminine hips and that makes my stomach hurt, that's gender dysphoria. And so, I don't think my gender identity is political, and it's not like I haven't changed my pronouns, and I don't identify as non-binary to like fight some fucking system. It's just like an innate thing. But I do think that having like a very masculine identity, or just having some masculine identity, and knowing, just having this like something different that I don't really identify as a girl from like a young age, but not having the words to that definitely made me associate with like, men in a social atmosphere. You identify with them a little bit better than you do the other side.
No, now I hate men. And I think they're their devil. Sorry.
Oh, wonderful.
Just as a whole, there's individuals who are all right.
Great.
You're pretty chill.
Yeah, sweet. As long
You
as I
ask
don't-
questions. You want to grow. You're
Yeah.
also pretty kind, so you're chill.
I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm going to clip that. But yeah, like it's just so complex and everybody's so different and you seem to have a good grasp on it. But like I said, I see things and I'm like, well, I don't know what your experience is or why you've ended up in the position or the identity that you are. And like I said, very logistically minded, binary minded. I'm like, well, if A plus B or 1 plus 2 equals 3 or A and then B should be C. But like looking at someone like yourself, L plus B equals Q equals T. Do you know, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I have that analytical mind where like I said, you know, you're hanging out with the dudes, you're shit talking on the girls. So maybe I want to be more like this. This is how I identify. So I'm like, is that the path that it went? But you just explained it so much deeper than that. So I've learned a lot. I'm going to be thinking about, I'm going to be sitting at dinner. I'm going to be sitting dinner later at the thing. And I'm going to be like staring off into space with like a slice
Just
of pizza.
contemplating the great spectrum of trans identity.
Yeah. So I would like to talk a little bit about skiing.
Yeah, let's talk about skiing.
Skiing's awesome, but thanks for indulging me in this conversation. And
No, I love having this conversation. I really appreciate any opportunity to talk,
sweet. And I hope
talk
people
about gender always.
Yeah, and I know
colonialism.
Jeez, I don't want to talk about colonialism. That's another podcast. We'll talk
Okay.
about colonialism. We'll talk about capitalism and socialism on another one. Maybe we'll just release that in the future. This is a lot for me to digest right now. I'm sure for people that are listening too. But you're a shit hot skier.
Thanks, man.
Which is good. So,
dude.
so did you talk about growing up through like Palisades? When did you start the competition circuit?
When I was doing comp circuit, I think when I was like 11 or 12, doing like juniors, like the TGFS series, Tahoe Junior Freeride series. Shout out to Kath Howard, who birthed that beautiful creation.
Kath Howard.
Kath Howard. Yeah, she's rad. Yeah. So there's like really competitive region where I grew up. So there's like super, super gnarly and awesome junior skiers. So it was really cool to be in the competitive world as a kid because it like...
And that's North and South Tahoe, right?
Oh, does South Tahoe have skiers? Yeah, Kirkwood. Yeah.
Okay, so I asked Xander this. I'm like, what's the difference between North and South Tahoe? And he's like, oh man, I don't know if I should get into this one. This might even be just as touchy a subject as the one we just covered.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just different. We don't really chat. We don't hang out very much.
Yeah, there's like this hard, it's like the Hatfields and McCoys, right? There's like a line and like you guys, Montagues and the Capulets.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. We're geographically separated. I think that we have an elitist complex of not being an urban area on the West Shore / North Tahoe. What else? I don't know. They're just different.
Interesting. And they got, I don't know. I'd love for you guys to all be better friends, but I also like the rivalry a little bit too.
Yeah, it's a fun rivalry. Any rivalry is fun.
Right. So you're shredding in these like free ride competitions, and then are you just like skiing for yourself a lot, or like explain this process? Were you traveling a bunch? Were you winning competitions?
Yeah. Well, actually, I wasn't winning competitions. I did later on, but yeah, my parents worked really, really fucking hard to put me through like competition series, and they like were kind of like strapped for cash sometimes, or they just worked really fucking hard to like give me that experience, and I'm like so grateful because we would go to like competitions, and me and my dad would we'd like camp out in some like rich guy's driveway in our van like the night before comps so that we could afford to go, and like I don't know, it was just it was really special, and I'm like it totally defined my life, and it gave me so much confidence and identity, like being able to just like find something that you're really good at and push yourself, and that means everything to you. So competition was a huge thing. Was I skiing for myself? Sorry, I'm trying to like go through your questions.
No, I know. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, me too, dude. We both have ADHD.
You were skiing for yourself. How about this too then? So like another thing that kind of popped in my head too is like, you know, with the big conversation we just had, it's all about kind of making everybody a little bit more aware of you and just awareness and acceptance and that kind of thing. And like everybody can be a part of something. But competition, there's one winner. That's very different from everything else. So how does that balance in with your life too? Like, do feed on competition? Is it a good like counter to all of the other things that are going on in your life? Because it's like, I know what this is, right? Everything else in your life can be rainbow colored or beige, whatever, however you want to see it, because it's not in your mind, it's clearly defined, but for everyone else it's not. And there's like so many different points of view about it. But with competition, it's what it is. It's like, I am going up against you. I'm trying to do better. I hope you do really well, but I hope I do a little bit better.
That is so funny. That is such a free ride mindset. Is like, you never want anyone to fall. You do not want your friends to fall. You want them to have the best fucking run of their life, and then you want to have a slightly better run.
Yeah. I want my bomb hole to be just a little bit farther than yours.
Farther.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know if I've thought about it that complexly, to be honest. I think I'm a very competitive person, and I love pushing myself. And I love having, I don't know, it's fun getting it. I don't know. I'm addicted to adrenaline, and it gives you crazy amounts of adrenaline to do competitions. I don't know. I've just done it so long that it's such a big part of my life. I can't. I don't even know why I still do it. Is
it like well, that's exactly why, because it's a big part of your life. Is it kind of like maybe comfort zone is the wrong thing, but it definitely feeds a need. And is it the competition or just like the camaraderie around it?
It is. I don't know. It's doing something that I'm comfortable with and something that I know how to do. And it's
clearly defined, where it's like, I know this is what I do, and everyone else also knows what this is do, because you spend a lot of your life educating people, fighting for people, battling to, create. Whereas in that world, you don't have to do any of that because everybody understands. No,
unfortunately.
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying
No, I love it. No, I love it.
I'm trying not to be a killjoy, but I'm such a fucking killjoy. I do love competition because it makes you get to travel to incredible places, and you have this beautiful connection with nature all the time, and you just get to experience the mountains in this really intense, awesome way in this shared experience. And sorry, I get really loud. I see you adjusting the dials all the time.
No, I'm adjusting my dials. It's like, some people get nervous and they like fiddle. This is my fiddling that I gotta.
You gotta adjust your dials. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Are you adjusting your dials?
You betcha.
Nice. Okay. Okay, what were we talking about? Yeah, it was actually not. It was kind of also a complex, unfortunately. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine though. Like that's good. I was just an observation. Like I told you, I like to see things as like A plus B equals C, or like, I know that's not a mathematical equation. But in like the A plus B then leads to C.
Sure, it does. Yeah.
Right, but but like that's how I see things. I always try to understand how things work because there's a natural progression to get to that point, and I always try to understand what the progression is, or why that thing is because of this and this and this. And I think about that a lot. I'll see what somebody does, or how someone is, or what they think, or why they did something. And I know it's not my place to, but I always try to think and analyze. If it catches my curiosity, then I'm gonna think about it and analyze it.
I love analyzing. I also have an analyzing brain. It's so fun and also terrible.
Yes, but that's why I was asking you, is like, because I could see, all of this energy that you put into this side, and then there's this competition side, which isn't anywhere near as ambiguous as what this could be, or how other people consider it, right? So I was thinking, well, maybe there's that balance that you have this, and it's like, I love this because this is simple for me, and I know it, and I understand it, and I don't have to work too hard at. I work hard at it, but I don't have to work hard at anything else around it to understand that.
It's definitely a comfort zone for sure. But I honestly have been having like a really hard time being in the competition atmosphere since like kind of digging into my own gender identity, if that makes sense, because I have a hard time in social settings anyways, but like, I don't know, coming in and competing in like the women's category in this very binary defined sport with two genders, and these genders compete with their other gender, has been feeling really isolating.
That's what I was gonna. Okay, thank you brought that up, because I forgot I was gonna ask you this.
Yeah.
So when Derek and I were talking, when I referred to you telling him your pronouns, and he blew it, and then I was like, so does she want to like compete in the men's category now, or like does she like does she want to change the category that she skis in? Like how does she view that? How do you view that?
they, but
Sorry.
no, it's just funny.
And I apologize for cutting off. People are like, dude.
Saw, dude. Nah, you're chilling. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like just like the nature of competition is a very exclusionary space. Just, because it does, it upholds a gender binary, and it's something that I struggle with. Is like the foundation of this thing that I love so much is rooted in something that I
am fighting against so much.
Yeah, something that I don't really believe in.
Right.
But it's also it also is a big deal to have a space for women in sports. Because women didn't always have access to sports, and especially high level competition, to be on the same playing field as men, get the same fucking prize money. That is a huge deal, and I really like that is important. So I don't know. It's just like this complex thing for me personally. It has felt pretty kind of shitty just to like always be hearing like she, her pronouns, and like always like, and now the girls are going, all right, women to the top. And, it's just like this, like, just scratching like a scab all the time that's like already open. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, since kind of figuring that out in myself and what all of that internal discomfort was around gender, and then putting a name to it, and then knowing what I need in order to feel comfortable, and then having what I need to feel comfortable be the opposite of this thing that I love so much.
Right.
Has been super complex. And I'm something that I'm definitely, having an interesting time dealing with.
Do you just get exhausted? Just like randomly parts of the day, and you're just like, oh my God.
Well, you literally caught me last night. We were like chatting, and I was on my way up from like to go take a social break so I could just go stand alone outside.
Yeah, that's like, I was like, hey, I'm like, what's going on? You're like, I'm going outside. I'm like, oh yeah, what are you doing? You're like, I'm just going to go outside. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, go for it. You do you. That's right. I forgot about that. I'm like, yeah, you go do that.
Yeah, that's what I do is I go and I stand alone and I listen to music, or I journal a lot. I go to therapy. I have a queer affirming therapist. She's super lit. Shout out to Olivia. Love you.
You got a lit therapist. See, that's very Gen Z.
I hope she never listens to this because she's super hot. And I needed to put that out there.
You probably shouldn't be seeing that therapist.
I know.
I'm sorry I have to fire you. You want to go for dinner later?
Yeah. No, she's way too old for me and too smart.
What? So you're an ageist now?
No, I love MILFs.
I know you have it on your you got that sticker on your helmet. I have a picture of your helmet. I have a picture of you from a couple years with your I love MILFs thing. And I'm like, I love that. Every once in a while I'll come across it and be like, I love that. Dude. But now I get to post it. I actually I had a photo of you with I love MILFs with all the stickers on your hat. Uh-huh. And then Olivia in her pigtails. And I've heard people like, oh, I don't like that. I'm like, who fucking cares? Like, she's been riding like that with those pigtails in since she was a kid. That's how she identifies. That's how she feels strong and comfortable. And I have that photo, and I was like, that's the future of like freeride. That's the future of skiing. And I was like, I love this. It's so foreign and new to me, and it's probably scary to a bunch of people, but I love that.
Yeah, it's sick. That's funny. I also like when I used to compete with Olivia as a kid, and she's always put her braids up, and like we used to give her so much shit, and our coaches would make fun of her, and we'd make fun of her, and then like getting older and like seeing how like I'm like, what like misogynistic bullshit that was that we were fed. Like that's a bad bitch move. Yeah, and like anything that makes like gives you something to do with your hands and feel like sauced
and she
out.
Still does it
cunty.
Now, and she sends it bigger than most people in her category.
Yeah, she goes fuck. Actually, inspecting with Olivia is the worst thing in the entire world. It's the most stressful experience because she's like, okay, what do you think of that one? And you're like, well, it's like 30 feet to an uphill landing, so no. And she's like, okay. And then she'll just do it.
She stomps, yeah.
Yeah.
She unfortunately she put her knee off her face in Revelstoke, doing exactly that. She's fine, but I was like, oh, we chatted with her after. She's like, oh, well, whatever. It happened. Yeah. I'm like, goodness gracious. Like, she's like, I got to drive home now. I'm like, are you sure? I called her. I'm like, are you home yet? She's like, just got back. I'm like, all right, cool. It's checking in.
She's super hardcore.
Yeah. Like, but like, yeah, impressive. But like, but it's neat because you don't expect it. I can put little cute little braids. It's just since she's a kid, yet she's a fucking beast.
Yeah. I think, you can use femininity to, I think femininity is really aligned with weakness. And then I think it's cool when, women kind of,
counter it,
Yeah, counter it and just like be extremely feminine and then also badass motherfuckers.
Yeah, like take it into their take control over the narrative, right?
Yeah.
Very neat. So do you see yourself competing for like you love it, but you've got this conflict with it currently that you're probably working through? Do you see yourself continuing on for a while?
I mean, I'll compete for as long as I like keep qualifying for the
Yeah,
tour.
you're like going to be like an OG on the tour.
Well, I don't know. It's subjective, and
Right.
I'm coming back from a knee injury. I don't know if I'll make it to the cut this year. Who fucking knows?
Right. I almost forgot about the knee injury last year. You injured yourself right before the first event in Bikira, which
Yeah,
was such
big
a
ouch.
Oh
Yeah.
man. How is it feeling? Did you get surgery?
Yeah, I did. I can show you my scar after. It's pretty sick.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty,
Rad.
that did. Yeah, it's pretty fucking
I'll
cool.
show you some of mine too. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I blew my MCL. I was being a complete idiot. Like right before the first comp, I was like, I really wanted to do a 3 in my run, and I was like just like practicing 3s on the groomer, and I like fucking blew my knee out on a groomer an hour before the first comp doing a shitty 3. And it was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Yeah, but I don't know. It's feeling all right. It like hurts, because you know how just knee injuries just like fucking hurt.
They take a
forever?
while. It was what, a year ago that you did it?
Yeah,
How
it was-
long since surgery?
I think almost a year. I'm coming up on a year soon.
Yeah, I found with my experience, and I was talking to someone about this the other day. I've had doing this podcast. I've had a lot of conversations about knee injuries and how many people do you know in the Freeride World Tour world, like in that room? How many do you think there are? There's dozens and dozens.
At least, yeah.
Like multiples. So what we were talking about, it's usually like 6 months. If you really rehab it well, you can possibly get back on skis and ski.
Yeah.
9 months, it's still when you can kind of go back to like almost the right level of exertion, and it's like a year plus until it actually feels good.
Yeah.
Doing those things again.
Yeah, totally.
So you're kind of almost there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel strong when I'm skiing, and I can like ski almost my full ability. Like, I think it's like mostly like just getting back mentally from injuries is like the hard part. But yeah.
You got to throw a 3 in on a groomer. You're like, oh, wait a minute.
No, literally, like today. Yeah, you're getting over the mental block of 3s on groomers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just save them. But so it's funny. So we always like, you're really fun to be around, and you're like, you have this, these heavy topics that you like represent, but you do it in such a lighthearted, fun way. Like you're still fun. You're not like, oh, no, you're not like that. Oh my God, Lily's here. You know what I mean? We're going to get lectured right now. Do you know what I mean? But like people are still stoked on having Lily around.
Aw, dude.
So you ended up going in Andorra. You ended up going and like talking with Derek and Anna on the mic,
Oh yeah.
and it was awesome. And you had these really cool insights to what was happening, but from a rider's point of view, I was chatting with them about it, and like, oh, the way she saw the hill and the way she explained what was happening was very different from how I see it, and it was exciting to hear. And then he said, "You just kind of got up and left."
Yeah.
And we're like, well, I guess Lily's gone. And they're like, where did she go?
Yeah. I had to like take a shit really bad. Oh, you didn't know that? Wait, Derek didn't tell you that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He may have told me, but that wasn't what I was thinking about. But
no,
I just
yeah.
thought it was hilarious because he's like, she just left.
Yeah, I did just leave halfway through, but I was like afraid to say the word poop or like shit, like anywhere near them, because I didn't know how the microphones worked.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't know if that would be picked up. And
Like
I didn't
if you
wanna,
whisper
like,
in his ear or
yeah,
something
I didn't know
like
if I
that.
whispered it, if he had like, I didn't know how it worked. And so I kind of was just like, I'm going to go.
You
And
just
then
become a meme.
and then I just left. Yeah. And I left off it, and they're like, where the fuck did they go?
Like she didn't
Yeah.
sign off. We didn't say goodbye, Lily. Like you
No,
just
it
got
was
up and peaced
yeah,
out.
It was super weird move that I take full responsibility for. But I did find somewhere to poop.
Great.
Yeah, and they were fine. It worked
Yeah.
out all right.
It was funny, but you were really good on there. That's something that maybe you should like explore, is doing some like commentary or MC work.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think you'd be good at it.
Thanks, man. I sure can spit out words. Sure can word vomit.
Yeah. Right. You're a cunning linguist.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I'm totally going to steal that. Yeah, their job is really hard. I didn't realize that it's like actually so hard.
It's pretty fun. I dig that. I'm the same thing. I can't stop
Yeah.
talking sometimes. Like I do the same things. Like I don't need that break, but I think I need to do it for the others around me and just reset and be like, I think I'm being a bit much right now.
Yeah, it's good to know about yourself.
Long process.
Yeah.
A long process, bro. Or brah.
Bro, when,
The.
sure.
I don't know. What I call you? If I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? Or what's up, bro? What's
Sounds
up?
great. That's all great.
All of it works?
Yep. You're all good.
Yeah. Hello, fellow kids.
Hello, fellow youths.
Yeah.
My other youths who
Yeah,
are
youths.
youthful. Hello, my fellow Gen Zers, my bros.
Well, I appreciate this from you. Then I would like to talk to you again. But this time we can talk about all sorts of random stuff. Do you have anything that you want to talk to me about, or you want to bring up that we didn't cover? That's like about anything.
About anything?
Yeah.
We were talking about our favorite words earlier. Do you have any other favorite words?
It's funny. It's like when you're forced to think about them, you can't.
Then they're gone.
Yeah, but they're in there whenever I hear it. Sometimes they'll always just pop up into my head. But it's like when you're forced to think about it, you can't.
Yeah.
Like when I used to buy CDs back in the day when I was a teenager. I'd go to downtown and I've probably told the story a bunch of times. And I'd have a list in my head. I'm going to get this CD and I'm going to get this one from this band and this one. And as soon as I'd walk into the CD store, it's like my brain was wiped blank.
Smooth brain.
Just smooth. So now it's like a lot of things like that. Like get put on the spot. You're like, ugh.
So long story short, you can't think of any of your favorite words. That's okay.
Like
you
I
brought
said-
up
like I
one
said-
of my favorites, which is cunnilingus. So
I
you
said
just
cunning,
reminded me.
I said cunning linguist.
Cunning linguist, also a great combination of words.
Like I said, I love the word like penultimate.
Penultimate, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy that word. I like the word absolutely, just
Yeah.
because there's no ambiguity about that word. It's like
Absolutely.
everything is absolute. If someone's like, you want to do this? Absolutely. There's no questions. They're like, do you want to go do something later? Absolutely. How, like, that was a pretty good sandwich. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It is an absolute word.
Oh, Lily totally should have won that comp. Oh, absolutely. Do you know?
Oh, you can never question the judging, man. It's subjective sport, dude. It's like figure skating, my guy. Never question it. You're never going to be satisfied.
What's that from?
I don't know.
We're just doing it now. I
Yeah,
thought it
I'm
was
just doing
something.
it. No.
I thought it was a bit. Okay. It's just a bit.
No, it was just a bit. Any other questions for you? I don't know. What's your favorite animal?
I think other than my dog, who's the best. Everybody knows Cedar on the show.
Cheetah.
She actually spends a lot of time on the show lately. But I like bears.
Oh, bears are sick.
I'm a big fan of black bears because there's a lot where I live and I get to see them up close. And Cedar chases them out of the yard, but I just appreciate them because they're playful.
Yeah.
You know, they're not just like out to serve, like they eat all day all the time, but they're a playful animal. Like you see them like chilling in people's pools. There's that reel that was going around of the bear swinging in the guy's swing in the backyard, like running in the backyard, swinging on the swing. Like they have a good time.
They do have a good time. Do you ever get like the instinct of like when you see a bear, you like really want to pet it and you know that you can't, but you just want to pet it so bad?
One of my like fantasies in life is to have a bear like stand up on its hind legs and then just walk straight into it and just bury my face and body into this like furry bear belly.
This smelly garbage mildew.
Well, why'd you gotta ruin it like that? I wasn't bringing that sense into it.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
eliminating the sense of
So
smell.
you have no sense of smell and you get to just hug a wall of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's yes.
Yeah, that would be lit. That would be super awesome. I'm trying to think if I have any animal fantasies. Be a lizard? That'd be sick. Is that
Can we
not
start
related?
calling you the lizard? Like that's your nickname for the FWT?
That'd be sick.
Lily the lizard.
Yeah. They'd be lizarding. I don't know what a lizard's do.
I don't know, but it'd be kind of cool. Little lizard. Maybe. I don't know. We'll
Lily
figure
the
it out.
lizard? Yeah, that'd be sick. I'd be down.
The lizard. Why do you call her that? Hey man, if you don't know.
Dude, if you don't know, you don't know.
if you don't know, bro.
We also don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. So are you ready for this comp tomorrow? Or I guess in a couple days?
Dude, don't say tomorrow. You made me think
It's not tomorrow. It's not tomorrow.
Okay, it's definitely not tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, I haven't picked out a line yet, so no, not at all.
Because you won on that face.
Yeah, I feel like we should stop bringing that up because I'm like,
Pressure's on.
yeah, the pressure's on.
You got that cool jacket though.
I did. I finally I won a denim jacket the year that I won here, and then they weren't supposed to give it to the athletes. And then Maxime, like, obviously stole his.
Well, he just took it because he's like, oh, I thought they gave it to us.
No,
Yeah.
he knew that he wasn't supposed to take it.
Oh, well, good for him. Because I
Yeah.
was telling, sorry, I'll let you continue.
You know, stick it to the man, Maxime.
Yeah. But yeah, there's these sweet, like a fur, like sheep lined or fake sheep lined
Yeah.
denim jackets with like the patch on the back that says like champion and it has like the,
Freeride World Tour.
yeah, it's so rad. It's such a sweet jacket. And he was like, oh, we're going to take them back and we'll give them out every year. I'm like, no, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, dude, you got to let them have those jackets. That's like the prize. Like those things are awesome.
They're super sick. I'm going to wear it every day. I'm going to take
But
off.
you didn't want to wear it the other day.
I don't want to. I mean, I got to take off the champion part on the. It's like champion.
No, but you are a
Skew
champion.
women.
You earned that.
Yeah, but it feels like a real D-bag move.
I can
just
see-
like walking around
I can
with my
see-
huge cock swinging with my champion
That's
jacket.
a power move. I can see how you may not want to do that around all of the other athletes that you're competing with, but that's a power move. That's a full-on power move.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might cover
Just
that.
roll,
matchup.
just roll up and be like, "Hey, everybody, what's happening?"
Champion. I don't know if you know, but I'm a fucking champion.
I'm the champion?
Ask me about the Freeride World Tour. Yeah, champion.
Sits on my back. So
Yeah.
you're not going to wear it around the Freeride World Tour, people, but are you just going to roll around like Tahoe with it on?
Probably. It's a really nice jacket.
It is, isn't it?
It's a super nice jacket.
Don't
Yeah.
take the patches off either.
Maybe I'll just put more on top and I'll cover it up.
Oh yeah, moron.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you said like moron, and I'm like, why would you call yourself a moron? But that's not what you were saying.
I am a moron.
I disagree. I disagree.
No, I am. The other day I was dyeing my hair before I left for the tour because I just love dyeing my hair right before I leave for a trip. Super fun. And I used a new kind of dye that I'd never used before. And then as I was taking it off, I realized that it is not skin safe, and it dyed my entire face and scalp blue. You can see there's still some left on my scalp there and behind my ears and in my nails. And so I dyed my entire face blue, and then I was like panicking, and I needed to go to the airport in like 15 minutes.
You did it that soon?
Oh, yeah.
Before? Jesus.
We have ADHD. I save things to the last minute. Yeah.
Fair.
And then I decided the best course of action in my heated moment of terror was to take a fucking Lysol wipe from under the sink and try to wipe my my face off with a Lysol wipe. And then on the plane the next day, I had both blue coloring tinting my entire face and a chemical rash from the Lysol, because obviously you shouldn't put that on your skin because it's a terrible chemical. So I am a moron. Yeah.
So that could be the origin story of the lizard nickname. Because you've given yourself this chemical rash, your skin's all like scaly and blue, colored blue.
Oh, that'd be sick. That's like a really good villain origin story.
Yeah. I just like did it to myself.
I'm just an idiot. Yeah. That's why I hate everyone. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, you got to get to this meeting.
Oh yeah, we do. We
Fair.
both have to get.
Yeah,
to this
I'm gonna
meeting.
pack all this stuff up, and I'll probably head over. But thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you for this and educating me and helping me understand things a little bit more. So I think my biggest fear is just putting my foot in my mouth. You know, and it's not a fear because I'm afraid of what I'm thinking. It's just I don't want to upset the person. Because, you know, like I said, you're battling all these battles. I want to be one less person you got to battle with. So I always am nervous to say something wrong and then get in trouble for it because that wasn't my intention.
Totally.
So, but now that I said that, I'm going to maybe fuck with you a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. I do really appreciate you. I don't know, asking questions, wanting to have a conversation, give me a little platform to, talk about stuff because it is important. Like education's important. It's great to know that we always have more to learn.
Agreed. And the ski industry and the culture that we cater to are, I think, far more accepting than we even understand. I think your experience is different, but a lot of people I talk to, I don't. Well, my experience is my experience. You know what yours is, but I think given the right angle, I think the ski industry can be. Like the individuals in the ski industry are great and accepting.
Absolutely.
So we're working towards that.
There are a lot of compassion. There's a lot of compassionate, lovely, exceptional human beings in the ski industry, and it's just an isolated atmosphere. It's just a white elitist. It's just it is a white space, and it's a colonial space, and it's a gendered space, and there's a patriarchy there. So we all have to learn our own shit, and we all are just doing our best.
with education, things can hopefully develop and move in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. I think it just takes uncomfy conversation. So thanks for the uncomfy conversation.
All right. Well, thanks.
Sauce.
Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers. This has been a Redmark Media production.